Whoa, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're back with more The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Spice it up and it's the great. Last time we left off, we got what's his face? The chief warder, the lady's husband to remember what happened. But in the process of remembering, he collapsed, so back to investigating. Oh brother. I still can't quite believe what just happened. Yeah, he passed out due to shock of remembering what happened because it seems that he, after being fired, jumped out the window in an attempt to kill himself. I know. I cried with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned, and it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to hospital to recover. Right. 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping out of the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind. Nobody knew his secret. Not his family, not even the man himself. But I forced it out into the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark? Did I overstep the mark? I wonder. Bruno! Huh? Oh, Iris. You were miles away. Anyway, I brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you. Oh, thank you. Remember what Mr. Stone says, no matter what happens, you have to be prepared for anything in the pursuit of the truth. Like, oh, thank you. You and Susie have had an exhausting day so far, haven't you? That's true. The day's not over yet either. Oh. Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you. You happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is. When he came out of the courtroom back into the defense antechamber, he disappeared. Oh, no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, "I must leave." I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death. Well, you know what Hurley always saying, don't you? There are mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved. For the construction of the solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else. What does that mean? He knows very well that when you open someone else's old wound, you often open your own too. But he just can't take his own advice and leave well alone. Solving mysteries is too important for him. That's so true. So true. Hit it with this. So true. Bruno will give that a retruth. That's what I like about Hurley after all. I suppose that's the lot of a great detective in some ways. So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand. Oh, do you have time, Iris? Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. You know, I always hide Hurley's violins these days before I have a deadline. You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes. I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you. Seems like a person that's easily distracted, like me. Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue our investigation. So, how did it go in court this morning? Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Vangsix definitely didn't do it. Oh, goody. Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well. Oh, really? And there was another development too. Kazuma. Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed. I know. I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound at the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent. What's going on in his head, I wonder. I really need to sit down with the cosplay and try to understand what he's going through. If Gregson was really murdered by the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Vances has to be innocent, you see? What? The day before? Well, that should be easy enough to work out, just by examining the corpse, surely. Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report. That is curious. There are still unanswered questions about Lord Vances, though, aren't there? Do you mean, why was he investigating Gregson? I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place? Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he? He did. And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office. Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot. But then, why was that notice board covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with the link to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about all of this. Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish. We must start looking into Inspector Gregson's movements of late. Okay. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements. Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out an incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League the day before his death. Oh, you mean he was doing the same thing as Hurley? Well, Mr. Soames was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating. I do wish it had been the other way around. Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went... Wait. Okay. Turns out the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil, in possession of Gregson's identification. You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi. Oh my! Yes, you're absolutely right, Iris. But why would Gregson need an alibi? It would appear that the inspector had something to do that he wished to keep secret. I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips. But perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar. I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies. Well, anyway, if Lord Vances felt the need to investigate Gregson. Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows. Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Hurley yesterday? Yes, that's right. You asked Mr. Soames if we would help her find her missing husband. Only Mr. Soames completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to hospital? Do you know which one? It's St. Sinners. Ah, it's St. Sinners, yeah. I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. But that's amazing, Bruno. You found the lady's husband already. Well, I suppose I have, by accident. And 10 years ago, while Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration. No. So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed. Sometimes I really don't want to grow up. There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was ostensibly working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be his stand-in, to impersonate the inspector. To impersonate Gregson? But why? I have absolutely no idea. Jeannie was right. I'm starting to think all adults are up to no good now. Including you, Bruno. Huh? I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me. That means he has ties to the professor and to Inspector Gregson, though. So I don't think you ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you? Back to St. Sinners, then. So I guess that's where we're going next. Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows. Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. is that if anyone has anything to hide, my special Whiston shooting iron will soon set them straight. That water pistol, right? I stuffed full of piping hot extra special. It's stuffed full of a piping hot extra special blend of mine that I'm quite sure would be very effective. I better be careful not to hide anything. Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen. Still, let's go and see what we can find out. Yes. Oh, I guess they said the only way we go now is go to talk to him. Nope, he's not here. Okay, well, we go to Fresno Street. Nope, okay. I guess let's talk to... Lord Vanzies is reading. Look. He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he? But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. What do you Nipponese want? That's no way to greet the Lord who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? Perhaps not. Huh? I apologize. So, what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Vanzies, speaking earnestly. Oh, the fog will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow. This does feel very, very strange. I must say, I was impressed. Oh, well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see. Yeah. It's sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose it's what they call fate. It's retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part? Yeah, what do you mean, playing the part? You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crimes that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part benefits the cause, a cause I myself am committed to pursuing, then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of the criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day, and that was just the most recent of many attempts in your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from your silence about all this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, yeah, he's been privy to it. I've been doing my utmost to expose him, or rather, expose the organization. Uh-oh, organization? Huh? It's a syndicate. It's a whole organization? It's inconceivable that all those accidents were orchestrated by one man. No, the Reaper always appears to have very accurate information about the accused in each case, which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved. It's Lord Strongheart. Someone, you can't mean. It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. It's Lord Strongheart. Tobias Gregson. Oh, huh? Oh, Gregson was the... No. Gregson, the Reaper? Wait, Gregson was the Reaper? Or the central person? So, the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. I don't believe it. Are you saying that Gregson, that he was behind all those awful criminal meetings there? Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself. Oh, oh, he was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he would regularly needed a firm alibi, which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of the operation. Brigson would have met the assassin there for briefings. Oh, so the assassin must have killed him. Maybe because he was Francis was getting too close to him. He's like, oh, gotta cut you loose. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings then. Actually, I do have a name. You what? If you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already then. No, or if I can name the woman. Oh, is it the daughter? She's a young woman by the name of Asha. Oh, what? Wait, but that can't be. She's dead. Wait, what? Shin? Yeah, her. Miss Asa Shin, the true name of the terrifying killer I know only too well. So were they cleaning up the professor case, people? She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed that diplomatic protection would help her escape Japan and conviction, she was killed herself. The mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey, but that doesn't make any sense. Oh, why? Well, no, she was still in things, so that doesn't make any. Well, but then why did he die? Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss. No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson, because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely that the man was her father. Asashin, I should let father know at once. Yes, I agree. Yeah, Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Sogi. You say he's a friend of yours. My best friend, in fact. He's the whole reason I got to come up to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him. Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities, and I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father, Genshin Asogi, the professor. It's true that the aristocracy at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns, in politics, in economics, in war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves. Oh, okay, so that's why they pinned the crime on him, because he was I see, but that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Vanzes was a noble and an upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did that damn Nipponese have to go and take my brother's life? In spite of having once saved mine. He saved your life? How did that happen? What? It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. That what was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital. So Clint Vanzes has already been killed at this point, then. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at that point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden... Don't make a peep. You're coming with us. Holding the sword, we were surrounded. No noticeable ring? All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either. I'd been targeted several times before already. Yeah, it's Vanzes, all right. We got him. I could hear them murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me, but just when I thought my time had come, If I let them kill you, Clint will never forgive me. It was Asogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. After that, I don't remember exactly what happened. The next thing I knew, there was silence and all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He shielded me. 2 days later, they arrested him on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor. That doesn't make it sound like how awful for you. That doesn't make any sense. Because why would he let you die? He was aristocracy too. So it doesn't really make any sense. All at once, I lost the brother I revered and the foreign friend I held in such high regard. I'm so sorry, Lord Fancies. He's innocent. That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone. Well, thank you for confiding in me. The Professor, the Reaper, and Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are. I still can't quite believe it, that Gregson was essentially the Reaper, giving assassination orders to Jezrael Brett. Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. Yeah, I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information. Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray! Yes, all right. Let's head back to the Great Waterloo Hotel then. Uh-oh, how's he gonna react to seeing that? Because that was his friend, so he knows her. He should... I thought it yesterday, and I think again today. This place is so princely. It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow too. My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, though. Wouldn't you say? Ah, look who we have here. This is an unexpected pleasure. Ah, father. Oh, is this your daddy, Susie? How lovely. What a charming young lady. And you are... I'm Iris Wilson. Oh. Ah, really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, are you? That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know? Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly and with much interest. Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, father? Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining that bright look in your eyes. Hee hee. You wouldn't be smiling so early if you knew just how bright she is, believe me. Now then, young Naruhodo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery after I twisted some arms. And I must say, it was a truly exemplary performance. Oh, well, thank you very much. Although I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma on the end there. No, please don't misunderstand. That was you who impressed me. Oh, you're reading my mind again. Really? You didn't miss a step against Asogi, and we all know how capable he is. Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year, it's quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say so, and really nice to hear. What I saw in court today confirmed what I'd been hoping you for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruhodo. I trust you haven't forgotten it. Forgotten? You didn't say that. Oh, no, you did mention something, didn't you? But first, we have something to report, father. Of course. Shall we take a tea while we discuss the matters further? I wonder where the Judge Jigoko has got to. Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey? I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge. Right, He didn't appear until after that case when the visiting students had already returned home. Lord Van Zix, who was in the dock today. That was Barak, the younger brother of Clint Van Zix, I believe. That's right. And he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else. I see. So what you're saying is, there's been a professional killer at work here. Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact. I beg your pardon? Did you say Asa Shin? You mean that Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend? Oh no! A friend of yours was killed! Professor Rico, I think perhaps we should discuss this right now. Because the friend that Professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. Yeah. Yes. I just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits. That was rather out of the blue. She's doing this deliberately. I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. Iris, I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh yes. You just try to leave me behind. Yeah, she gotta. So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she? Yes, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Sholmes. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all this kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to Imperial University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? In that case, Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So, it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure. That's what we thought, yes. We're back with cinnamon biscuits. Ooh, they smell delicious, Iris. I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve here. Would you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris. Yeah, say that. I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you? Have you? Guilty. But that guilty is still ringing in my ears. Now you mention it. Now that you mention it, I haven't seen it since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, we'll have to go on to explore at the Great Exhibition. That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday about Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself. Yes, it was all tied up with that accursed trial. Huh? The closed trial of Cosmo's father. Fisher was trying to mitigate Jensen's guilt, so he took the stand to testify, but he got a little carried away and actually managed to break the witness stand. Oh my! He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. Oh dear, although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was all right in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together. Thank goodness. Yes, talking of Seishiro, I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday, please. Oh, what a lovely picture. It certainly seems to show we've arrived in Britain. The commemorative. This is going to be important for something. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we? No. No, that's so true. No, that's so true. So, you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me. Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan. Huh? You want me to do what? But father, what's the meaning of this? Now, Susato, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense. Oh, you mean the Supreme Court of Judiciary is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer as soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact. But I've not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Susato's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. So, you'd be leaving then, Bruno? Aye. But then, what am I supposed to do, father? You came here to serve as Asogi's judicial assistant. Oh, yes. He's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with his situation, though. You're always choosing your own path, Susato, but I trust your judgment in this matter also. Father, please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand? I hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Yes, all right. Okay, so he's not telling you have to come back. You won't leave, will you, Bruno? I don't know. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me? They're like, wait, then why am I... Yeah, and it gets the question of why am I still here? Well, if you'll excuse me now, I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asa Shin. Of course, father. Thank you. I look forward to the next month's installment, Miss Wilson. Oh, good. And please do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you. I would be delighted. Best of luck for tomorrow, Naruhodo. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you? Yes, I will. Going back home. You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this. Yes, no doubt. Asa Shin. Of course. It's so obvious. How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Whoa, what are you doing here? Ah! Mr. Sholmes. Early? Where have you been? Why, I joined you a roll for tea, of course. What an extraordinary reason. Question. I didn't notice you at all. No matter. Anyways, to more pressing concerns, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency. To Japan, you mean? Tell me, to whom can I entrust the track? Quickly now, who? Oh, the person who just left. Ah, well, that would be my father. My father has just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow. I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard for Mr. Sholmes. There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty and favorite father to see this sent. I will, but what is it? No questions at this time, if you please, Miss Susato. All we can do is pray that for once my deduction is awry. Doesn't that apply to your judges are normally correct, Mr. Soames? Which isn't exactly. Now then, shut the hell up. You may be surprised to learn that I'm a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind sets. Wait, what? Settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations. Oh, so that's what joining us for tea meant. I believe the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows. Oh. Ah, wait a minute, Mr. Soames. He just sort of ran off, didn't he? Quite a place. I left the unpaid bill for his tea behind too, you other. This guy, man. I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once. And I'll run a call and call it the cab. Straight away. Oh, and they're gone. And there was me, thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sills' bill. What the heck? Okay, I guess let's go to the hospital. Did we see what it is? I don't think. No, they didn't let us. We weren't able to see what the note said. This is the ward where Mr. Virgil was brought, apparently. To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. Oh. Ah, the lawyer. Hello again. Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil? Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. I'm sorry to have caused you to mean it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you obviously tried to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. You just missed him. Oh, Cosmo beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please, don't think like that. No, I was running. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years. I carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I often came to deceive myself as well. You mean about your dismissal? Yes. Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as a stand-in. He was clearly a concern for my well-being and doing what he could to help. But perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deceptions, but it wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago. It wasn't me. I swear it. I swear it's true. Oh, Mr. Vigil. I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all of this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done. Yeah, his eyes glazing Gregson. Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about. Details of the Reaper's marks, yes. It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him. He pretended to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf. Oh no, never. A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. Oh! Oh, you see, and so that's creating an alibi. It's like, oh, I was here. Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here. Not seen. So that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident. Yes, he asked me to make an appearance at the park on the Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence. But then you were taken prisoner by those red-headed fraudsters. requests. So he would always make the point to show Rex's identification and generally being loud. So they created an alibi. That's what the inspector asked me to do. Yes. Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though. And as you know, I suffered this bruising after around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me, without returning the inspector's identification to you. However, we had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day, so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. It was at midnight on 17th June 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution. But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it? Or rather, the execution itself must have been used as to effect the plan of escape. I hardly dare to imagine what a chilling plan it was. Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in this country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception, or rather, one notable loophole, something that was never questioned. I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts were placed, correct? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they never searched coffins. Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in the Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no member of the staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber. I would wait in the adjacent room for a word that the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin and then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut. Oh! No! I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived. So, you mean the coffin contained... Yes, I can only imagine that Asogi, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. So either the two people in the coroner... Oh! And we know who the coroner was at the time. So the two people inside the room must have colluded to keep him alive. And then so it must have been a 3-person job, but this was alive. The coffin was then taken out through the main gate and deposited in Lowgate Cemetery. But then how did he get out? Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long. So in the early hours of following the burial, somebody dug up the coffin again to set tensions free. But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder. I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Asogi couldn't possibly escape that way without help from somebody working in the prison. I think it was Cadian, and that somebody was not me, and that somebody was not me. So he's also a fall guy. Obviously, he knew the man then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Asogi. Yes, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended by only the elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it? It was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially The stabilizing a case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly. The man had less than a week in total. As I was a chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean, exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day, "Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible?" "I'm guilty of the forgivable crime of ending another man's life. Yes." He didn't say he killed those 5 people. The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise: guilty. That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something unusual. Something unusual. What? The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. As I said, it was on the night following his trial after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asogi's, I noticed that he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. Ah, his last will and testament then, perhaps presumably. As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back. But why did you find that so unusual? Because isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh? But no, but they probably could. We don't allow that. No. You see, yes, that's true, but there were special conditions to Asogi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was all allowed to keep his personal effects with him, with one exception. Really? He was allowed to use his things. That is unusual, certainly. Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy, but at the same time, he was a guest in a country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable. And what was the exception you mentioned? Or to the personal effects he was allowed? His sword. Karuma. That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or paper. So he was prevented from leaving any written record of what happened to him. Yes, that was the long and short of it. And the short of it, I have no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back, and then he pleaded with me. What did you just hide behind your back? Please, turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But you know it's against the rules. You're the only person who's seen. If you just agree to keep quiet. All right then. But what's on that paper? A last will and a testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd see nothing, and I let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without trace. What? What do you mean, it vanished? It would seem that isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will. Or like lingering will. I was the only person who saw Sogi's will, but somehow it disappeared. It was after Sogi's execution, which was actually an elaborate jailbreak. The warders gathered up Sogi's possessions that were in the cell. They were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see. The poor husband. And you're saying that it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects. The will, I mean. That's right. though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Caden was livid. He was screaming, "I cannot have disappeared completely." That doesn't quite make sense, though, does it? In what way? Well, we'd understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence, but that's not true then. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it? Oh, yes, yeah, you're right. I really don't know how he knew. Oh, yeah, so he's still the warden was in on it. But he's an AG, so he can't go. But it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was, "It's the Asogi papers." Papers? The Asogi papers. I really can't tell you anything of subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened. Your dismissal, and the way you blocked it all from your memory. I've forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though. Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful. I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife Evie will be here shortly. I do hope I don't appear rude, but no, not at all. Thank you again. But what will become of you now? Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested. I'm so sorry. Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come. Well, I wish you the well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil. Ah! Before you go, there's just one thing. Oh, yes? Oh! Wait. Hold on. The ring he's wearing in his hand. No. Not that. No, not this. Not this picture. On the thing. Someone, we have a picture where someone is wearing that same ring. Where? Oh, you know what? No. You know what? And it was in that picture of Genshin, of Cosmo's father defending Van Zeek's Barrock. He had that ring on his finger. It's the same ring. Oh, yes. What is it? The Soki papers. I'd be very grateful if you'd make no mention of the things I told you about them, presumably for some good reason. It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think. I understand. Some sort of will that Genshin Asogi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. I wonder, perhaps it had something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know more about the document that Kazu's father left behind, it would be Mr. Vigil's governor. Then we precisely know where we must go, back to Barclay Prison. Ooh, back again, are ya? Yes. Hello. I've heard all about your investigations. I've read the report just now. You found him, eh? Vigil. Yes, luckily. Well, anywho, the lady does not work here anymore. The case is note to do with Barclay. I wouldn't like you to get the wrong idea about that. Of course, yes. Mr. Vigil stopped working here 10 years ago now, so yes, we've seen his dismissal notice, haven't we? He was given the chop. Hi, Kimber, you came very well. So how about a wee handcuff biscuit? Oh, they really are like little handcuffs. And as hard as irons, too. So, what's brought you down here? Doing here today? Here today? Well, there's something else we'd like to ask you about, actually. Is that so? We believe there might have been a document that disappeared from Kenshin Sogi's cell. Huh? I think it's been called the Sogi Papers or something. How do you know about that? How did you find out about that? Did I know say? Gregson says it's not to do with things that might have happened at Barclay. Leave the past in the past, laddie. Let's not footer about with irrelevant details. His expressions changed completely. We're clearly onto something here. We have to present something to make him talk about it, but we don't know. That murderer's botched execution and the whole miserable escape. They were Barclay's darkest hour, eh? Aye. A shocking embarrassment. Because the convent had a collaborator on the prison staff, you mean? Aye. For shame. The coroner confirmed the death of the man after his execution, Courtney Scythe, and my chief warder at the time, Vigil, who was in charge of the whole affair. But Mr. Vigil says he didn't know anything about it. The rascal who wouldn't I say otherwise, eh? More handcuffs. Oh, how could I say no? You can never have too much iron in your diet. When Mr. Vigil was handed his dismissal notice as a result of what had happened, he was so despairing he jumped out of your office window, didn't he? I didn't like to say, but that's just Vigil trying to get out of it. Do you think he wouldn't have jumped from the shock of his crime being exposed, eh? I do. You would not say otherwise, though, would you? You wouldn't have. Of course, I kind of shun out of responsibility myself. I should not let him deceive me. I shouldn't. Actually, there's barely anybody that kens what went on at the time now. Lou Gregson having been murdered and Dr. Scythe forbidden from having any visitors. No visitors. Someone obviously doesn't want her giving her anything away. Well, we're not going home empty-handed. And wouldn't I dream of you sending you packing with note, Kimmer, here, take a handcuff or two. Oh, well, it'll be rude to say no. Wouldn't want to become anemic. I suppose, if there's anybody who might still ken about what happened back then. Stronger, it'd be that last from the forensic division. Maria Gory. Maria Gory? Aye. Scythe's daughter. She did not have no more. Just the one. But the wee Barons followed in her mother's footsteps. You didn't ever see her without a scalpel in her hand. Ah! You did recall seeing someone say, Mama, what is this? Ah, well, where did she spring from? And did she just call her the doctor? Mama? Uh-oh, Dr. Scythe's daughter, Maria Gory. We could do with talking to her. Gory. So, she's Dr. Scythe's daughter, but her surname is Gory? Aye, there's some family history, I'm sure, but I didn't ken the ins and outs of it. She grew up watching her man working with the bodies of folk who died in strange circumstances, and decided to do the same with her own life. I cannot understand it myself. Perhaps she was driven by a deep respect for her mother. Perhaps. Anywho, she was in charge of Gregson's autopsy, I believe. Oh, so she's the one who intentionally left out the time. Right, and the coroner was responsible for this incomplete report. Someone told me once that the wee lass always loved her mom's stories about cutting up bodies. There's even a rumor that she used to listen to the funeral march as a lullaby. Well then, perhaps her mother might have told her about the autopsies from the case 10 years ago. I say there's a fighting chance at least. After all, that was a life-changing case for all of us. I really need to speak to Miss Gory herself about this, I think. Well, thank you very much. I'm no happy about any part of this. It took years for the lenders to finally get the whole professor business. Can you give up on this, laddie? Stop asking pointless questions. No, I'm sorry, but I can't. I don't like dredging up these painful memories for everyone. Can you not just stay away? No? Leave me alone and then come back here, eh? Nope. Sorry, that's not happening, brother. How'd you come to Ken about that? Laddie? There's no many folk even in here in the prison who've heard of those papers. Ah, well, I can't tell them Mr. Vigil told me. I'm afraid our sources must remain confidential, sir. We've been led to believe the papers are actually a last will and testament. Is that right? Of the professors, or rather, Genshin Asogi's. Aye, that's right. You're well informed, Jimmy. Oh, is that the end of the silent treatment? But then after the convict's execution, it mysteriously vanished from the cell, didn't it? Havers, no, you're off at a half cock there. I think you did not quite get your facts straight. It was there in the cell, exactly where it should have been. Oh, not what we heard elsewhere. Let me just have a wee hulk around here. I'm sure I can find it. Aye, here you are. See? The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi, written with the calligraphy brush. Of course, I cannot read a word of those Japanese squiggles, but I mind it says he leaves all his worldly possessions to his son back in his homeland. Let me see. Oh, yes, that's correct. Yes, that's correct. That's the gist of it. So these are the Asogi papers. Aye, of course they are. Papers written by Asogi. No doubt about it. There's no mystery here, laddie. That's your lot. You're acting very suspicious after all the scramas. Oh, that's slicer of an execution. We sent the man's physician back to his clan in Japan, and that was the end of it. I think we ought to make a record of this, Mr. Naruhodo, just in case. Asogi papers. One thing before you go on your way, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Those papers are not to do with Gregson's death. I prefer if you didn't make no mention of them outside of this office, or rather, I wouldn't just prefer it. Consider the order from the highest. I wouldn't just prefer it. Consider an order from the highest level of our government. I understand. Basically, yeah. He does have authority. Okay. We're there. We need to go to. I guess we would ask let's ask Lord Chief Strongheart about her. Oh, there they are talking again. Lord Chief Justice's office. No arguments, Prosecutor Asogi. You will continue with the trial exactly as I instructed. Is that clear? Perfectly. It's Cosmo-sama. Defying Lord Strongheart by the sound of it. He never did know when to back down. On your way now, Asogi. My lord. Kazuma. He left without saying a word. Yes? Yes. What are you doing here? Oh, well, I was just hoping to ask you a few questions, if you wouldn't mind. I wanted the Van Zeek's trial concluded today, but prosecutors told us unwelcome inquiries are going to make it take longer than necessary. Unwelcome inquiries. As a result, I'm losing even more precious time. Currently 2 hours, 55 minutes, and 41 seconds. 42, 43. And we must resolve everything before 3 hours have passed, Mr. Naruhodo. In a miraculous not even 5 minutes. Anyway, I can't let the man's obvious bad mood put me off. I need information. Does Prosecutor Sogi believe that Lord Vansies is the Reaper? I wouldn't know. It was 10 years ago, in that fateful closed trial, that Lord Vansies made a name for himself along the judiciary. But the next trial he fought, he lost. It meant the ringleader of a criminal organization was acquitted, thanks to all the jurors being under duress. But that's awful. The man's freedom was short-lived. He lasted just 3 days. Yes, let me see. He died in a rock slide at his place of work, I believe. Correct. That was the inauguration of the Reaper of the Bailey. And the people believed Lord Vansies was responsible. He was brought to trial himself, but it was shown to have been an accident. So he must have had a solid alibi then. Nevertheless, the mysterious death continued. In total, 16 persons perished in unusual circumstances, ostensibly at the hand of the Reaper. 16. That's a long run of coincidences. Well, the Reaper's true identity may well be revealed by this trial. And the impact that revelation would have on the British public cannot be understated. Is that why it's a close trial? Precisely. And then we're going to present. This country hasn't seen a closed trial for 10 years. So the last one was the professors. The trial of Genshin Asogi. Correct. Actually, we heard that originally you were going to prosecute that trial yourself, Lord Strongheart. Vansies entreated me to relinquish the prosecution to him, that he might avenge his brother's death. And here we are, 10 years later. With the son of the man Vansies is condemned, and now looking to avenge his father's death the same way. They do say that what goes around comes around. However, it would seem that the new young prosecutor is harboring some ulterior motive as well. Kazuma is. I'd like my organization to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribe. As with the giant clock is here, I won't tolerate a single clock being out of step with the others. Ah, so that's what these gears are about in here. If the young man refuses to mesh with the other parts of my great machine, I will be forced to take steps. What? What do you mean? Not something with which you need to concern yourself. In any case, all your questions will be answered tomorrow. Out of time. Now, I shall have to ask you to excuse me. As of the moment, I've been a delay from attending my next meeting by precisely 3 hours. Oh my, that is a long time. And I hold you entirely responsible. Even though we actually managed to fit everything into not even 5 minutes. I wonder if you might agree to us, talking with Prosecutor Asogi. Discussions between the defense and the prosecution outside the courtroom are generally frowned upon. However, I will make an exception in this case. Now go. You can find him in his office. Oh, thank you. Let's go to see him at once, Mr. Naruhodo. Kazuma's my best friend in the world, but I'm really not at all sure I know how to talk to him at the moment. Oh. It's a recreation of the room. So, this is the office of the prosecutor Asogi now, is it? Kazuma-sama is doing so well for himself. Dude, he hates us, man. Even though he's always forced to kneel on the floor, Japanese style, in that dark corner, it's his habit of the Seiza style whenever he's working. Kazuma. I thought it wouldn't be long before you paid me a visit, Ryunosuke. I was right about what I said, wasn't I? Sorry? That you have all the makings of a great defense lawyer. Well, I always believed that you'd fulfill your dream of advocating in the British court. I just never imagined it for 1 second that it would be as a prosecutor. Seeing you stand in the foreign courtroom so gallantly, realizing your dream, Kazuma-sama, I'm truly happy for you. And I am truly thankful to you, Jujutsu Assistant Mikotoba. Ryunosuke, I always thought it would be fun for you and I to shake hands, to shake up the legal system a little together. This isn't quite how I envisioned it, but I suppose it's just another twist of fate. I learned a lot of the things during my time in London, about how Susato-san's father was himself a visiting student here once, along with Judge Jigoku, and about what happened with your father. And you have no difficulty understanding why I had no choice, why I had to find a way to get to Britain as a visiting student myself. I want to hear it from you, Kazuma. As you wish, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I don't think my daughter did it. Reaper, your disappearance. If it's getting on for a year now since what happened on the SS Buria. We were heading across the oceans from Japan to Great Britain. Then when a bizarre series of coincidences led to those tragic events, I thought I'd lost my best friend forever. He died so unceremoniously too. I must have been unconscious for a long time. When I awoke, I was lying on a bed. I was in a narrow little room. There was a posy of flowers by the pillow. It took me a little while to realize that I was in the cabin of the ship. I slipped out of the room and headed up onto the deck. Were you already suffering from amnesia at that point? Yes, I didn't know what happened or where I was. There was just this voice in my head. You have something to do, something no one else can know about. Go to Great Britain. Your task awaits you there. It was a calling I couldn't ignore. It compelled me relentlessly. On deck, I saw that I was on a huge steamship and we were docking in a large port. So yeah, that's basically what happened. He must have woken. It must have been Hong Kong. Yeah, he must have woken up and just walked out left. People probably did the way. Yes, it must have been presumably just before they were due to carry your body off the ship. I had no idea of the situation, but I did have a feeling that this was in some way my last chance. So I concealed myself among the disembarking passengers and went ashore. Then I disappeared into the crowded streets of that foreign port city, so I could plan my onward journey to Great Britain. Then how did you make it from Hong Kong to Britain just under a year ago now, with all my past memories lost to me? I was left behind in Hong Kong. Everything was foreign to me. The sights, the sounds, the smells, my head reeled. I was truly at a loss. I realized now that I'd escaped as a dead man, with nothing but the clothes on my back. No money, of course. Oh, how terrifying for you. Luckily though, I had 2 feathers in my cap. One being your knowledge of English, I suppose. That's right. And on the back of that I was able to pick up some work as a deckhand on a cargo ship. Eventually, after calling at countless ports, I finally arrived at Dover. That must have been some 3 months ago now. Your formidable tenacity of purpose showing itself again. I mean, this man has lost his memory and I had literally nothing to his name, but he still managed to make his way to London on the opposite side of the world. That is truly really impressive, actually. Of course, I had no idea why I'd moved from heaven and earth to get here at that point. So, how did you end up becoming Lord Vangzi's apprentice then? That can only be called an extraordinary stroke of luck, really. You see, I was stopped at the border because I had no papers. They took me straight to Scotland Yard, and by sheer coincidence, Lord Strongheart was there to attend a meeting. That's when the second feather of my cap came into play. Would that have been your knowledge of the law? Yes, exactly. Lord Strongheart was curious about an Easterner with an intimate knowledge of British law. He took me back with him into the Supreme Court and assigned me to the prosecutor's office. No, I think he recognized you. And then 9 days ago, you finally got your memory back after the trial involving Trevor. Yes, I did. Ever since I first met you at Yume, you talked about your dream. Mark my words, Ryunosuke, I'll be chosen as a visiting student and make my way to Great Britain someday. Aura farming. Did you know the entire time about what happened to your father here? 16 years ago. Ah, baby Kazuma. When my father left on that exciting trip to Great Britain, I was just a boy. We took a photograph together the day before his departure. It's my last memory of him. But what I remember most about my father is his unswerving sense of justice. Yeah, completely out of character. 6 years after he left, a gentleman called at our family home. He told me that Genshin, my father, had been taken ill in England and passed away. It was Professor Mikotoba, your father, Susato-san. Oh my. Ever since then, the professor was very good to me. He even helped to fund my university education at Yume. I'll be forever in his debt. But nevertheless, I just couldn't bring myself to believe what he told me. Oh. Then one day, a letter arrived at our house from Britain. There was no indication of the sender, so I opened it and assuming it was from an old acquaintance of my father. What I read in that letter changed my entire life. What did it say? Oh, this is the real papers. The real papers made it. It said that my father had been a mass murderer, and the writer cursed the Asogi name. Oh no, wait. Did fancies? As a result of that letter, I found out what had been hidden from me all those years. Letter from Britain. Presumably, the letter was sent from a relative of one of the victims. If whoever had been a member of the judiciary, he could have been present at the closed trial. As the letter revealed that my father had been sentenced to death, executed for being a killer. I'm so sorry you had to find out that way. And I imagine the British government did its very best to silence whoever sent that letter. As someone who knew the truth and couldn't bear the resentment was always going to be a problem. But still, it could have been written by anyone. Why would you believe such a thing? There was a newspaper cutting included with the letter. It was the first I'd ever heard of the professor and his terrible killing spree. Well, what did my father have to say about the letter? Never told him. I couldn't bring myself to show it to him. What? Why not? Because he deliberately concealed the truth from me by telling me my father was taken by a fatal illness. That couldn't have been easy for him, and he'd done it out of consideration for my feelings. So instead, I showed the letter to Judge Jigoku. Oh, so the judge knows that he knows. Ah, to the other visiting student. He faltered for the briefest of moments, but then he just laughed the letter off. But in that moment, I saw it on his face. He was undeniably shocked, shaken momentarily before recovering his poise. A year later, my bereaved mother succumbed to the strain of grief, and she too passed away. No! But that's what I made up my mind, that one day, without fail, I would cross the seas to Britain and seek the truth for myself. The truth about my father, Genshin Asogi. I wouldn't let anyone stand in my way. Oh, Asuma-sama. What we learned today in court turned things completely on their head. It was an impressive piece of lawyering, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Lord Fancies isn't the Reaper, you know. I almost don't want to believe it myself, but it turns out that Inspector Gregson himself, the victim, was. It's clear that the Inspector was behind the Reaper's activity all along. What? You mean you knew? The real question is, who's been giving orders to the Inspector? Yes, the Eric Fancies is the real Reaper. And I know that 10 years ago, it was him who decided my father must be a mass murderer and sent him to his grave. No, he was merely seeing that justice was done as the law dictates. He's not to blame. Ultimately, it's for people who condemn people. The law is just a tool they use to do it. And when a man condemns another, he must take responsibility for his actions. Of course he must. But I know for certain that my father would never have taken another man's life. Kazuma. On the contrary, my father's life was taken by the Reaper. Okay, well, present this. Well, he wouldn't. There's something we can ask him about this. Kazuma, what do you make of this? There's only one place where defense lawyers and prisoners should discuss evidence: the courtroom. So it seems you're so confused by the situation. That's what I make of it. I get the feeling my friend's always going to have the edge over me, isn't he? Okay, what do you think about? Okay. Kazuma, this is your armband. Actually, I think it's yours now. Sorry? You're the defense lawyer. You have a talent for it. I've always known that you would. Now, you've chosen to take that path in life. As your friend, I couldn't be happier for you. Or more proud. Kazuma. So you keep hold of that. Besides, I'm a prosecutor now. The armband would have no meaning for me. Well, if you're sure. Thank you, my friend. Okay. They did a soggy paper, so what the? It's a scale model of the crime scene. Oh, yes, I realize that. Does the prosecution office make a model of the scene for every single case? Apparently so. Sometimes it helps to visualize things better and notice things you hadn't spotted before. Actually, the miniature notice board is my work. Be honest, you enjoyed making that. Ah! You disturbed the bats, did you? Hidden companions of Lord Vengeance, what did you say? Actually, I've seen the things flying in Lord Strongheart's office too. Doves, I think. Perhaps you have to like birds to attain a rank in the judiciary here. Although bats aren't birds, of course. How about a sparrow for you? What's that? What's that supposed to mean? Oh, nothing. Sorry. Just think it out loud. That's supposed to mean. Yeah. Do you know who the man in this portrait is? Why would I? What? But you're Lord Vengeance's apprentice. Yes, apprentice, not friend. But during the time I was suffering from amnesia, I didn't even notice that picture. Oh, really? I mean, it's not the smallest picture. I wouldn't have had the first idea what the man decorates his office with. You have some? Lord Vengeance's fine collection of hollow chalices and bottles, all neatly lined up. Yes, he's extremely particular about all that. He has a strict regime for everything, from the storage of the casks to the bottling of their contents. Gosh, he must be having a real tough time of it being his apprentice. Actually, no. Oh? He's so particular about it all, he refuses to let anyone else touch any of it. So it's been quite easy for me, in fact. Talk about beer. There's the Lord Vanzi's incredibly stylish desk. It's not my style, though. Teza, no. I noticed you've been working at the little table there. kneeling down Seiza style. I thought it was some kind of punishment set up by Lord Advances when I first saw it. I find it the most comfortable way to work. I can't do it. After a couple of minutes of sitting with my leg folded under me, it start to go tingly. Don't exaggerate, Ryunosuke. We both know you can't even manage. You don't know you can't even manage a minute. Ah, caught. You got me. Don't exaggerate. You know you can't even last a minute. Okay. So there's something I need to ask him about because we're missing, or someone I need to talk to. So let's. Oh, okay. Let's ask this. Maybe he knows about. Let's ask him about. Does he know about this? What's that? It's just something I was hoping you'd ask your opinion about. That's all. It's a serious crime for the defense to attempt to extract information from the prosecution by illegal means. What are you talking about? I think we have more of a defense and client relationship now, don't we? Okay, well. Oh yeah, Iris is with us. Let's maybe talk to father. Nope. Okay. Nope. No. Well, at least he seems to be on the mend. You know, his disguise as Mr. Gossip were really quite masterful, wasn't it? I can't remember any of it about it being for the floppy lip. I imagine not even his wife would have recognized him. Perhaps, do we really have to take it quite so far? Okay, so no, I can't talk to him anymore. No. No, I have to ask him about something. Oh, maybe present this? Yeah. Okay, there we go. This came up in the trial, didn't it? As something a little dubious, I mean. The fact that no time of death was recorded on Inspector Greggson's autopsy report. Yes, there were some unexpected turns in the court earlier. The suggestion that you came up with certainly took everyone by surprise. The idea that the victim died in the previous day at some other location was quite something. Well, considering where the pocket watch had stopped and the scorch marks of the candle, it's certainly a distinct possibility. The evidence and the scene both point to it. To be honest, it bothered me too, so I paid a visit to the autopsy room earlier. The coroner responsible wasn't there, but I got a name. It's Dr. Gory. If it wouldn't trouble you, Cosmo-sama, we'd very much like to speak with the coroner too. Of course, the last thing I want is for anything to be brushed under the carpet. Scotland Yard's autopsy lab is behind Lowgate 7. What? Lowgate 7? By Barclay Prison, you mean? Yes. You know it, do you? The prison where my father was incarcerated and robbed of his life. Cosmo-sama. Well, thank you. We'll pay a visit to the laboratory later today. That was it. Okay, that was it. Okay. Ryunosuke, I want to thank you. For what for? For this. You safeguarded the soul of the Asogi clan. Well, it's a famous sword that's been in your family for generations. My only slight regret is I never got the chance to drop before I returned it to you. Karuma Susato has been forged by a master swordsman during the Sengoku Warring States period. Ooh, the Sengoku period. Warring States period. I come from a long lineage of warriors, many of whom were expert swordsmen. Well then, you're a chip off the old block, I'd say. This is blade, Karuma, is a symbol of the Asogi clan's honor and might. Apparently, one of my father's apprentices even took the blade's name for a surname. Really? Karuma? It does sound formidable, that's for sure. 16 years ago, when my father was a visiting student here in London, he had the sword forever at his side. Which is why it meant... A fly just... How did there's a fly in my room. Which is why it means so much to me that I have it by my side again now, too. And that is all thanks to you. It was an honor, really. Don't mention it, brother. Okay, time to go. Now, I have prepared preparations to make for tomorrow. Perhaps I said a little too much. Kazuma, you've changed. No, Ryunosuke, I haven't changed at all. I think it's you who's changed. Huh? I can completely understand your resentment of Lord Vanzi's given what happened, but the fact is, those events in this case are, well, unrelated. Unrelated, is that what you want to say? How could you be so sure? What do you mean? Never mind. That man is the Reaper, and it's for that reason that the inspector was killed. I'm going to prove as much in court tomorrow. And by whatever means necessary. I can't let you do that, Kazuma. I know you do what you have to do as a lawyer, but I'm sure I don't need to tell you that I won't be taking any prisoners in that courtroom. I would expect nothing less. Until tomorrow, then, in the Old Bailey. Okay, we're done. Yeah, why do we need a location that's like, we were there, but we were there. Like last week. Oh, now that I think about it, she's desperate with her stuff. This place really is creepy, isn't it? Well, being a dead room, it's probably full of the spirits of the dissected. But actually, there's a rather pleasing scent of roses in the air. Well, being a dead room, the coroner probably needs a bowl scent like that to mask the odor of death. Iris, do you think we could change the subject? Nice. What? What was that? Sharpening of knives. Dr. Gory. What? That noise before. I was sharpening my tools. I'd be dead meat if I didn't keep a perfectly keen edge on them. Right. While following the collagen fibers in the dermis, an expertly sharpened scalpel cuts like cheese. Would you like a demonstration? Oh, yes, please. I'd love to see. Then, I think you'll do nicely. Huh? No, I wouldn't do nicely at all. I mean, maybe some other time. Ah, phooey. Was that a tut? Well, we came here to ask questions, so. Well, we haven't actually met before. I'm a lawyer, if you remember. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of the guy that sent your mom to jail and she's probably gonna die. Yep. She's put up for execution, you know, no biggie. You're not dead yet. What? So Mama said I wasn't to cut you open. She's so strict about things like that. Well, good. That the site has some scruples at least. Oh dear. It looks like she's not interested in talking to us, for the time being anyway. For the time being? You mean until we die? I hope that's a way off. Sorry, but I wasn't planning on dying anytime soon. Surely there's some less drastic way of making her listen. So no, I need to present something to her. maybe present the autopsy report. Dr. Gory, we actually came here to ask you about this. He was very good. Good. Sorry? His skin didn't snag on my blade once, and very little mess. His joints dislocated easy, and his muscle tissue was a pleasure to work with. We can skip those details, but there's one thing about the report that's caught my attention. You don't seem to have recorded a time of death. Oh, hello. Whoa, hold on. Oh, that made me jump. Wait, hold on. Ooh, hold on. Who are you? Wait a minute. Maybe being a mortician ain't so bad. Oh, that made me jump. Then please tell us what happened. So, why does this autopsy report include the victim's time of death then? It's really the most crucial detail. I was told not to write it. What? By whom? I get Mail Strongheart, the Lord Chief Justice. He came here. Lord Strongheart came? Yeah, yo, don't say it like that. He said that from the witness's statement about the gunshot online and the other evidence, it was obvious. The man clearly died at 5 p.m. on the 1st November when the gunshot was heard. Wait, why did he know that? But that's not the time of death you wrote on the report. You didn't write anything. Was there some reason you didn't include it? Yeah, you just told me not to. Dr. Gory, if you're hiding something under Lord Strongheart's instructions, then sooner or later, you're going to go to the same way as your mother. Give it here then. What's she scribbling on so furiously? There. You've written... What? What's she written? Tell us. Indeterminate. Oh, she can't. What? The details of the autopsy report have been updated. Yeah, it's not possible. Indeterminate. What do you mean by that? Hold on. Actually, I'm gonna say. No, wait. Hold on. You're not gonna see it, but I'm gonna. Yeah, let's take a screenshot of this for the thumbnail. There you go. What do you mean by that? Why was the time of death indeterminate? When the specimen was brought in, it was still fresh, so the time of death could easily have been coincided with when the gunshot was heard. But there was one small discrepancy. What discrepancy? There was some fried fish in the pocket of the specimen's overcoat, and that fish had started to rot. What? If the victim liked fried fish, he presumably liked to eat it before he went off. Yes. What are you really trying to say? It's possible that someone tried to manipulate the apparent time of death. Is that even possible to do? Theoretically, if you were able to chill the body in ice, you could delay the onset putrefaction, and the overcoat wasn't on the body at the time. Then only the fish would have started to rot. With today's science, it's not yet possible to determine if the body was chilled or not. But today's science is advanced to the that you freeze a corpse, it seems. But surely, to chill a corpse like that would require an enormous electrical refrigerator. And I don't imagine many households in London are equipped with such a device. No, definitely not. But maybe in a factory or some other special places. I don't recall seeing any factories or such like on Fresno Street, though. I wonder if the inspector's body had been chilled somehow. What might the actual time of death have been? Can't say. I couldn't say for sure. But at the most, it might have been a day earlier. No. In other words, it would have corroborate your previous deduction, Mr. Naruhodo. That Inspector Gregson was killed the day before his body was discovered. Hold on, do we have a... Oh, wait, what the heck? Who else is? Oh, she's the same. She's the same age as Gina, and she's already a. Well, I guess. Yeah, she's the same age as Gina. Or no, she's not. She's older than Gina. I thought Gina was 19. She's 18. Okay. 26, 25. He's just a year older, and then 24. Inspector Gregson was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. Did you inform Lord Strongheart of this possibility? He simply said that there were no electrical refrigerators of that size in the vicinity. Okay, well. Oh yes, one other thing. It's something that the governor of Barclay Prison told us. He said that your mother, Dr. Scythe, was responsible for confirming the death of the professor at his execution. The professor. Apparently, you always enjoyed listening to your mother's stories about her work, so we were wondering if you might know something about what happened 10 years ago. Yeah, when you were 9. That's not all Mama did. Sorry? My mama carried out the autopsy with Clint Van Zieks as well. What? Really? The brother of Lord Van Zieks? The professor's final victim? The idea of carrying out autopsy on a member of the aristocracy was completely unthinkable back then. But the detectives in charge of the investigation insisted, and it was miraculously authorized. The inspector was the detective being Inspector Gregson, of course. Quite an accomplishment for one man. That autopsy provided the vital clue needed to that's what it is. Yep, that probably that vital clue was a forgery. And Mama was there for that historic event. What does all this mean? You know, that amazing autopsy happened right here in this very room. Professor and Clint Van Zieks. They both spent their final moments before their burial on that dissection table there. But this lab, Mama's lab, was instrumental in some of the country's most important events. She really is proud of her mother. I wonder if you tell us more about exactly what happened back then, Dr. Gory. The professor's execution was Mama's first big case. She had to be in attendance at Barclay Prison execution chamber. She would have been 10 years ago. She would have been 9. And signed the certificate to confirm the convict's death. Mama is the best coroner in the world, you know. I was so proud of her. But the execution didn't actually take place. No, and worse still, Mama actually helped with the jailbreak. I didn't want to know. Oh dear, you found out recently, you mean. I believed in her and Mama, but now I wonder if I'm starting down the same path as her. You mean because you omitted the time of death on this autopsy report? But that's because Lord Strongheart forbade you from including it. Just like Mama, I'm sure she was coerced by somebody too. Yes, that's my feeling as well. There's no doubt that there were powerful forces at play 10 years ago. Execution couldn't have been staged without a lot of people at the prison knowing about it. Obviously, the prisoner governor must have been in on it as well. The big man with the little handcuffs, according to what he told us, he was tricked by this chief warder. He says he knew nothing about it. That's not. There's no way that's true. That's impossible. Of course he said that. And I'd say the same thing. Just who was behind that jailbreak all those years ago? You mentioned the autopsy of Clint Van Zieks. It was at the time when carrying out autopsies of murder victims. It was very unusual. It's still not a practice that's observed in our country, even now. It turned out that he was the professor's final victim, and when the autopsy was performed, Mama was present, although only as a secondary assistant. Huh? The person leading the procedure was called Dr. John H. Wilson. That's right, my daddy. Wait, what? And there was one other person present, the primary assistant, Mikotoba, her dad, things Susato's dad. He was a visiting student from the Far East. Oh, brother. Wait. A visiting student? You don't mean I must have been my father, Eugene Mikotoba. I had no idea Professor Mikotoba had been involved in something so important. But the outcome of that historic autopsy was the discovery of a vital piece of evidence that led to the capture of the professor. So that's how the verdict came to identify Genshin Asogi as the infamous mass murderer. Do you happen to know anything about that piece of evidence? Can you tell us any more? It was probably a dog collar. Would you like to see the records for yourself? What? Would that be alright? What's the point of keeping records if people can't look at them? They're filed under V at the back of those cupboards with the other records from the last decade. Thank you. Let's see. Van Zeeks. That's strange. They're gone. Hey, they're gone. What, Mr. Naruhodo? They're not here. They aren't here. There's nothing under Van Zeeks. There must be. Perhaps somebody took them away. What the? No one's allowed to take documents related to the professor case out of this room. But you're right. They're gone. Uh-oh. Well, when was the last time somebody looked at them? Do you remember? It was... Oh, yes. I remember now. It was 2 years ago. A consulting detective came one day, saying that he'd like to see the records. No, you don't mean Gregson. Inspector Gregson. Herlock Show. Oh, no, dude. No, my goat is involved. Herlock Sholmes was his name. No. What? Deep down, I knew that was coming. Do you think he stole the records? Hurley. No, surely not. Iris, that can't be right. Can it? She's stuck. She's stunned. Sister's flabbergasted. Iris? I don't know. She really doesn't know. Bruno. I hope you don't mind, but what is it, Iris? I just remembered something very important I have to do. I'm going to have to leave you now. Oh, this is very sudden, Iris. Well, we'll come with you then. Oh no, there's no need. You and Bruno can take your time here. Uh-oh, she's gonna confront him, I think. Bye now. Bye for now then. Good luck. Uh-oh, she dashed. Wait a minute, little girl. Me? I remember now. You've been here before, haven't you? What? Huh? Wait, what? Have you, Iris? Yes, 2 years ago when that detective came. You were with him, weren't you? You were a living specimen then too. That's the way it usually works. Yes, Iris. Was I? I really don't remember. What's... Anyway, sorry. But I must dash. Uh-oh, that's why she's... Oh, so she knows. That's why she wants to leave. She knows. Oh, no. Wait, Iris. I'll brew up a pot for you when you get home. See, really... What's the matter with her? She's behaving really strangely all of a sudden. Oh, no. There's some snakes in our dens. Well, in that case, we won't keep you any longer either. It's been quite a while since I had any visitors. This was really fun. The next time you come, I prefer if you were ready for dissection. I can't make any promises, so sorry. It's a bit strange that records of Clint Vance's autopsy has disappeared. But I think we've all asked all we came to ask now. So, well, I guess, yeah, we gotta ask Sting. I don't know. So what's going on? Let maybe ask Sting? No, he's not here. Oh, let's ask. Maybe ask the dad. Oh no, you can't even. No. Okay. Oh. No, let's go ask him. Nope. Is he still here? Nope, he's gone too. Let's go the only place. Nope. Nothing particular of note. Fresno Street. This is the only place we haven't been. Oh, hey, what's that? The trunk is there. Room on Fresno Street. The police are still busily investigating in here then. But Gina's nowhere to be seen. Where is she? Yes, it has been blissfully quiet, hasn't it? Perhaps she's out investigating on her own, practicing what her boss taught her. Well, I expect she's be back before too long. Shall we wait? Actually, there's something different in here. There's something different about this room since the last time we were here, isn't there? We could always use time to investigate more thoroughly. Well, there's only one thing we gotta. The trunk. This little trunk wasn't here before, was it? Oh, it appears to be made of metal. It must be very heavy. I wonder whom it belongs. There are some initials on it. On the outside, look. P.G. Tobias Gregson. Let's ask one of the policemen if they know how it came out to be here. Oi! What do you think you're doing? Oh, there's Gina. That's my trunk, that is. Hands off it. Hands off, Gina. Where were you hiding? I don't know. You leave something unattended for a few seconds, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got his greedy guys on it. Just a wild guess, Gina. But what? Spit it out, Odo. Is it fair to say that you only own that trunk since this morning's trial? What? What are you trying to say? Come on, this trunk goes with me ever, always has. Where have you been in last year? Trying not to incur your wrath, mainly. You should hear them talking at the yard now. They should be ashamed of themselves. They're saying that it was the boss who killed all them bludgers. Ah, you mean the whole Reaper thing? Yeah. Apparently, the boss was investigating stuff that no one else at the yard knew nothing about. Stuff to do with all them criminals what got off scot-free. Yes, the ones prosecuted by Lord Vansix who used bribery and corruption to evade conviction. Well then, obviously, it was that Bloomer Reaper giving the orders, weren't it? But why would people be suspecting Mr. Gregson of being involved in the killings? There was a notebook. There's a notebook in his office. Oh no, this doesn't sound good. It had details about all the crimes that have been pegged as with the Reaper's work. What? No. Did you see it, Gina? Did you see the notebook? They wouldn't blame and let me because I'm just an apprentice apparently. But it was me who found it, and he was my boss. That's right. I was pretty miffed about it, so I sneaked a peek at what it said anyway. Oh, that's our Gina. What did it say? So you managed to see what was written in Gregson's secret notebook, did you say? Well, I see it. It's my right to read what he wrote. And what had he written, Gina? That dates, times, places, names, and a whole long list of them. All details about the bludgers are supposed to have been done in by the Reaper. But There could be an explanation for that. Perhaps it was a record of the inspector's investigations into the Reaper's activities. Exactly. That's what I said. That's the first thing you'd think, right? As it happens, it was full of names I recognize anyways. Huh? Well, the Reaper's targets were almost exclusively known as leaders of London's criminal underworld. Well, yeah, but there were one name right at the end of it that was a bit odd. At the end of the list, you mean? I'm pretty sure the date against it was 31st October. Oh, the day before the inspector was found dead. So, what was the odd name? It was his. It weren't like a name I've ever seen before. It was something like, Asian. He's gonna say. Nah, it's no good. I can't remember it. I don't think it was English name. Oh, Genshin Asugi. Oh dear, what a pity. There was something else too. I don't know if it matters, but the same name kept coming up over and over. Shin. It was. Don't suppose it means anything, but. Oh no. Asian. Was it Asian? Oh no. Asian. Oh dear. Did you say Shin? It's probably Asa Shin. Eh? What does it mean? What? It does mean something. Lord Vansix knew the name too. He mentioned her as well. The woman who actually did the deed. And now we find out her name appeared in Greg's secret notebook. We haven't seen you for a little while, have we, Gina? Well, of course not. I've been busy, ain't I? Investigating on that. The lads of the yard were trying to trace the boss's movements the day before it happened. The day before? That would be undercover investigation into the Red-Lidded League then. Only the boss didn't go, did he? You found some code what was pretended to be him, didn't you, Odo? Yes, it was Mr. Vigil who actually went to the park on the Lime Street that day posing as Greg's. Well, anyway, you ain't the only one turning stuff up. You got your own ways of getting results. Toby, when me and me partner here get together, there's nothing we can't track down. Oh, Toby! Oh, little Toby! He's just a faithful friend. So, have you tracked anything down then? What do you think, eh? Of course we have. Can't tell you though. Police business, isn't it? Ugh. Anyway, the point is, if you lot ever need any help, you know who to turn to, right? Me and the hell out here. Right, because he looks oh so hellish, honest. Gina, about your hellhound there. Chief Inspector Toby, you mean? He's the pride of the force, he is. In Japanese, police dog means something quite different and not altogether nice to those involved in crime. But here in Britain, it's a wonderful compliment, it seems, for a crime at least, for a canine at least. It should be. After all, in the Great Exhibition case the other day, it was Toby who managed to locate Trevor's workshop. Maybe it's time for another demonstration of what this super dog can do, eh? Do we have something the Chief Inspector could catch the scent of, I wonder? Something... something he could sniff onto. Okay, something like who the gun belongs to. Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff out of this. The Chief Inspector said woof to that, Odo. Yes, I heard. I think perhaps that particular item didn't exactly excite him very much. Ain't you got nothing else? I'll have it think. Wait, your hellhound there. Oh, okay, well then I'm just gonna, okay, good. Something the chief inspector could smell. I don't know.
Take that!
No. Just to cover his last battle. Something the scent.
Take that!
No. Okay, so no, it can't be that. So yeah, those, eh? I'm trying to trace the Inspector Greg's movements. So, oh, I see. You the okay. Do we have something? Yeah, the watch, the watch, the watch.
Take that!
The watch, the watch. Well, Chief Inspector Toby, if you wouldn't mind having a sniff of this. Hmm? Hey, he might be a little too keen, don't you think? Chief Inspector made short work of Gina there. Ah, look what he's gone to. Oh my, that trunk clearly still has a very strong scent of Inspector Gregson. In other words, it must have belonged to him. Oh, all right, it's a fair cop, I suppose. And you nearly got away with it too. You always talk so proudly of Chief Inspector Toby's nose and what it can achieve. Did it not cross your mind that he might identify something that was right next to us? Yeah, that was a bit of a bloomer, weren't it? That's enough now. That's enough now then, Gina. Yeah, that was kind of eh? I think it's time you told us the truth about that trunk. Why you... What's in that trunk? It weren't like that. It just weren't. It just weren't. What are you talking about? I know what's going through that head of yours, but that ain't what happened. What happened? All right then. What did happen? Well, like I said before, we were trying to trace the boss's movements. So I let Toby have a whiff of the boss's overcoat, and as soon as I done that, he went off like a shot. Straight to that sandwich. This to a sandwich, not the bag of no, the dude sandwich. Mr. Naruto, I get believe Gina means the witness. Oh, I forgot about that sandwich. Yeah, he added between the wooden boards of the boss's trunk. Holy, that freaking old man, holy. You mean when they heard the sound like a gunshot and piled in there? Exactly. He nabbed it from the scene. That little... Goodness. That little bugger. Me and the chief inspector gave that sandwich a good grilling. And you know what he said? Oh, he means Kazuma. I thought it might fetch a good price and the chap wouldn't be needed it anymore. So but that's all I did. Nothing more, nothing less. Would you Adam even eat the cheek of it, eh? Stealing the dead boss's stuff to flog. So Miss Venus wasn't the only one to meddle with the scene of the crime then. How could they? So anyway, that's how it happened. And it's a pretty decent trunk too. So I figured I might as well make use of it. If there's something wrong with that, eh? Well, maybe you and Mr. Sandwich should try to find the answer to that question together. Well, so what was in the trunk? I think Perhaps that trunk should be turned over to the police, don't you? What do you want about? I am the police. Gina, if you wouldn't mind, could we maybe examine it? Yeah, all right then. Do what you want with it. Thank you. We shall make a detailed report of it on our examination of the evidence. Toby, what's wrong? What's the matter with Toby? Why is he acting so aggressively towards me all of a sudden? Mr. Naruto, be careful. It must be the trunk. Ah! Mauled. Toby, boy, what are you doing? You're gonna lick his face off. Mr. Naruto, Mr. Naruto! Gina, quickly, hail the carriage. Ah, come on, man. You didn't even get a chance to examine it. That was legal consultancy. You know what? I think if I have a chance to examine it. Oh, Mr. Naruto, are you all right? Hold on, before you say anything. Let's have a look inside. Do you see that? There's something stuck in the side of the trunk here, like a knife. It's glinting. Looks like a fragment of metal of some sort, but it's wedged so tightly, I can't remove it. Well, don't cut yourself. You better leave it, I think. Look, there's something inside. Oh, let's see. It appears to be a passport, authorizing him to travel overseas. And was Inspector Spencer got to go on a trip abroad then? Perhaps the date of departure might tell us something. That was... Oh, what is it? It was for travel on the 31st of October, just one day before the incident. What? Really? Gregson went to France the day before his body was discovered. Or he was supposed to go to France. Aha! Look at that. Look at this dark stain here. Do you think? Yes, I'm afraid so. I think it's blood. Ugh, I knew you were gonna say that. So that presumably means that Gregson was present at the scene when the inspector... This was present at the scene when Inspector Gregson was killed. It's the most logical conclusion, yes. To think Tina's been carrying this around with her. If you didn't know any better, I suppose it does look like a great grease stain from all the fishing ships. Any other... Oh, Mr. Naruto, are you all right? Miss Susato. Ah, conscious again at last. A blessed relief, my dear fellow. After all, to drop dead after a moderate licking by a small terrier, most unseemly, most cringe. What is or isn't seemly is irrelevant here, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so glad there's no lasting damage. How are you feeling? I'm fine, thank you. Did you bring me back here? Ah, what's this on my head? A bandage? Sadly, we had no ice. So that's the compress of sugar water. Sugar water? Don't worry, Mr. Naruto. It's a first aid treatment that my father taught me. Oh. Wait. Hold on. Let me see. Sugar... Oh, it is actually. No, apparently, yeah. Oh, huh. The sugar apparently sucks out any bacteria that can grow. And it draws fluid out of the wound, and it hit, yeah. He brought. Oh, so that's actually something you can do. Well, I know about honey, so that makes sense. Honey is used as like a natural healing. So let us take tea when you're feeling up to it. But of course, no sugar in the patient's cup. Ugh, the bump on my head is throbbing sweetly enough. Don't worry. Sweetly enough. Don't worry. Whenever you feel ready, then. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Soames. My dear fellow, think nothing of it. I must say I was quite startled when I heard that you've been attacked by a dog. For a moment, I feared that the infamous murderer of so many had come back from the dead. You mean the professor? But fortunately, I see your prized throat is unscathed. That stiff, turned-up collar is obviously afforded them some welcome protection. Was I that close to death? All I remember is the dog licking my face over and over and over again. Well, if you wish to avoid such troubles in the future, a little mustard spread on the cheeks would do the trick. I should think it would balance the sweetness of your bandage rather splendidly. Okay. Whenever you serve me tea, it always takes me back to Japan. I know you're not particularly fond of the bitter taste, are you? So I do always try to pick out the less bitter matcha for you. He does often serve an unusually mellow blend, it's true, but the anticipation of the taste in my mouth makes me bitterly worried anyway. It is very difficult for you, isn't it? The steam is rising gently from the kettle as always. Yes, it doesn't feel right somehow unless it is. But the steam has an unusual scent today. Perhaps the sweet potatoes that I brought back from Japan with me already. Hmm? Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, I heard that, you know. Here's a joy, Mr. Susato, for my mouth. Sweet Beniyazuma. Sweet... Okay, well... We have some things we gotta talk about. There's some things we gotta talk about.
Mit dem Schwarzbiergebot bodend wie ein Feuerwerk.
Wait, what is going on here? What the heck happened down here? What on earth is going on in here? Am I having a bad dream? Ah, no, it's an old German folk song, but rather a fine rendition, I think. That's the least of my concerns. Why is Iris? Why is her dad laid out on the couch like that? Iris? What's the matter? Who is that that relaxed gentleman over there? Iris? Is she even listening? Excuse me, sir. I do apologize for troubling you while you're singing so merrily, but would you be kind enough to explain the situation? Well, that worked. A crooning gentleman and a mute young girl. Here we go. A rather tantalizing juxtaposition, and one that appears to have incited the gods of deduction within me to find their voices too. Yep, it's coming. I didn't think so. Mr. Soames, do you mean? The game was afoot, Iris. The strains of reasoning within me are playing now as a delightful duet. One melody sings of a reunion full of nostalgia, whilst the other is a moral theme about the great secret you're trying to so desperately to conceal, Iris. She's turned as white as a sheet. I played the music for the intro, so I didn't think we'd be getting one, but I guess we are. So as usual, you have instantly seen the very heart of the matter. And by the time my own brief performance is over, I feel sure this gentleman's song will reach its finale. So then, to music land, where all was sweet all its sweetness and delicacy and harmony. Pray do enjoy Herlock Sholmes' latest logic and reasoning spectacular. The game is afoot. Firstly, we consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly, he's a German with no grasp of the English language. Wait. Okay, yeah. Just want to make sure it comes through. Firstly, we consider the German's nationality. Clearly, he's a German with no grasp of the English language, as evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when asked to desist. So, why is the man here at all and in such apparently high spirits? The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright young eyes to unravel that particular part of this mystery. Is she eating something? The reason that the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. She's eating something. You obviously offered our German guest a cup of your latest herbal blend. The tea's delectable flavor has made the man's spirits soar and resulted in this joyful ditty tumbling incessantly from his lips. I eagerly await sampling this flavor myself, that I may join the fellow in his state of elation. Yeah, she can't. Oh, she has that. She has something in her mouth. Now to the next question. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of this settee? As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services involving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have proved problematic. Oh, okay, this is related to the thing. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Grossreich Sigismund von Ormstein. Oh, the thing? The King of Germany. Huh? If my memory serves, the mask worn by the gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question that mask belongs to the King of Germany. It would appear that His Majesty remembers the fine service I afforded him and has decided to show his face again, mask and all, in order to express his gratitude. A well-mannered monarch indeed, wouldn't you agree, my dear fellow? So the identity of this masked visitor is in fact my former client, the King of Germany. Indeed, his son is currently in London as well, enjoying the wonders of the Great Exhibition. Girl's silence. Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. A £5 note, I believe. I must say, as your compatriot, I'm deeply saddened to read her story. It would appear that you've allowed yourself to be bribed into silence by His Royal Highness, earning yourself some spending money in exchange for keeping a quiet about the king's secret. And now, the final piece of the puzzle. What is the secret you started to hide with your silence, Iris? Ah, yes. We need only follow that brief involuntary twitch of your eyes to find the answer. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. What? My favorite coffee cup, in fact. Or should I say, the handle of my favorite coffee cup. It appears that His high-spirited highness broke it in the midst of his hijinks. Which leads us to the sad truth. My favorite coffee cup has been broken by the King of Germany, and Iris, you tried to conceal it from me. What the devil? I shall have a bill sent via governmental channels to the Germany royal family for its replacement. To hide the coffee cup. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this painful puzzle. He's crashing out. Mr. Holmes. Yeah, where do we even begin with that one? Bing. With your silence as well, the fellow's jovial warbling rather rings in the ears, does it not? Mr. Sholmes, I must say something does rather trouble me. Pray, Mrs. Susato, do tell. His Royal Highness doesn't appear to have moved a muscle since we arrived. Ah, and you haven't said a word either, Iris. If Mr. Sholmes has it all right, you must as well own up to it now. Might as well. Your reasoning isn't entirely without substance, I must admit. And one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. You had another grievance, Mr. Naruhodo? Surely not. Well, I actually read the story of that case recently, the one you were just describing. And according to that, at least, it wasn't the King of Germany. It was the King of Bohemia. Yeah, it's the King of Bohemia. Goodness, was it? Yes, that's quite true. Master Gotz, the prince, testified to that. And yeah, I was like, it wasn't Germany, it was somewhere else. Yeah, in his words, I have come to see the great exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. I would ask you to keep that minor error to yourselves. It could easily become quite a scandal if you could keep that. Yeah, we should write the hell up about that next time. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that it's our turn now to make some corrections to a number of minor errors that may have slipped in. Yes, even Mr. Sholmes is willing to admit he might be slightly wide of the mark this time. Although it's clear that Iris is definitely hiding something. We need to find out the truth behind this mysterious scene. All right, one truth is incontrovertible. My favorite coffee cup is no more. So, shall we embark again on a joint presentation of Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular? Hold on. Course correction. Firstly, we consider I wasn't sure what he said. Firstly, we consider the gentleman's nationality. Clearly, he's a German with no grasp of the English language, as evidenced by the Germanic song he sings and his apparent inability to understand when asked to desist. So, why is the man here at all and in such apparently high spirits? The answer, of course, Iris, is clearly known to you. Indeed, we need only follow the gaze of those bright eyes, young eyes, to unravel that particular part of this mystery. The reason for this man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the herbal tea. That's not right. So what is some mix of herbs that gives you the urge to sing? Hear this. I'd just like to try some. And I'd like to hear you sing your singing, but this man, just how long does he intend to keep up with that tune, do you suppose? As I said, he's been stuck still the entire time, as in if you look closely, his lips aren't moving either. So I'm not sure what's actually responsible for the spirited singing, but I suspect the answer lies at the end of Iris's gaze. Bro. Wait, I can't move? Oh yeah, like what? Like why can't I? Like why couldn't I move? Wait. This is a gramophone so rarely seen in our country. The sound certainly appears to be coming from the horn, but the machine's singing. That can't be right. Science and technology are changing the world rapidly, Mr. Naruhodo. What's right is changing too. Ugh, it's too much for my brain. Well, at least we found our answer. Dude, yo, I actually, now that he mentioned that, I imagine people must have gone crazy at this the invention of CDs. It's like, how is this able to produce sound like that? Yeah.
Take that!
The reason for the man's mildly irritating warbling is revealed by the gramophone. Indeed, for no well-bred gentleman would break into an obscure folk song when making a social call. In other words, this gentleman isn't singing at all. In fact, it would appear that the fellow is unconscious. Ah, the music seems to have stopped now. I ask you, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? Why would I have purchased a recording of that gibberish? How should I know? Well, never mind. On with the deduction. Who exactly is this gentleman availing himself so thoroughly of the settee? As it happens, a number of years ago now, a certain gentleman of German origin engaged my services involving a particularly delicate case. He required the retrieval of letters once sent to an acquaintance that might have been proved problematic. In order to conceal his noble identity, he also arrived at my office in a mask. The gentleman's name was Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Ormstein. The King of Germany. That's not true. Huh? And my memory serves, the mask worn by this gentleman is identical. Yes, there can be no question that mask belongs to the King of Germany. Although we've already established that it was actually the King of Bohemia, it seems Mr. Soames intends to persist with his Germany theory for some reason. Come to think of it, the young prince was wearing a mask as well, wasn't he? Master Gotz, the boy whom you had in tears. Don't remind me, or anyone else. Do you suppose all the members of the aristocracy of mainland Europe wear masks? I'm sure they do. Well, probably anyway. The point is that mask doesn't belong to any kind of king. No, that's right, as we well know, because we can identify the true owner of this mask. It's his mask.
Take that!
Yes, there can be no question this mask belongs to Kazuma Asogi. In other words, my memory is sublimely unreliable. Only you could try to make that sound positive. Kazuma's mask has been languishing on this metal chest for several days, though that doesn't explain why the gentleman is wearing it now. But now it is now a simpler matter to determine our guest's true identity. After all, the gentleman is unconscious. We need only excuse ourselves in advance, gently lift the mask and peer beneath it. It's her dad. What do you mean? Who? Dad? Huh? Father? Huh? I don't believe it. Father! I'm afraid, Mr. Susato, you must be No, I think not, Mr. Sholmes. That it would appear our logic and reasoning has once again revealed the truth. The mysterious visitor. Yes, it's her turn. Yeah. It's my unconscious father, Yujin Mikotoba. Logic and reasoning, or just looking and saying. Ugh. Yujin Mikotoba. Yeah. Why? Which leaves us with one remaining imponderable. Yes, you, young Iris. But your apparently inexplicable silence is unable to hide the truth. Yes, that reason for your muteness is concealed inside that knapsack. That's a £5 note sticking out from Iris's knapsack, is it? Oh dear, I can't be sure. Most money that we encounter is in coin form. I know. I'm not even sure if we've seen any banknotes in here in Britain at all, have we? But anyways, father would never have paid money for Iris's silence. He certainly seems like the silent type himself, though, judging by his present state. There must be some other reason for Iris's silence, I suppose. Perhaps what Iris is trying so hard not to give away with her eyes is something entirely different. It's the thing. Metal chest, it contains important documents, doesn't it? Yes, the details of the cases that Mr. Sholmes has worked on over the years, written up by Iris' father, if I remember it correctly. The Iris insists that this chest is kept locked at all times. She's never once shown me inside. Well, the contents are invaluable to her, I suppose, and entirely irreplaceable. But looking at it now, the catch is unlocked for once. Ah, so it is. That's hard to ignore. Very. I've never seen that chest unlocked before in all the time we've been staying here at Baker Street.
Take that!
Yes, the reason for... Yeah, it's not. Sorry, sometimes I'm not picking up. Yes, the reason for your muteness is concealed inside that metal chest. An excellent observation. From upon closer inspection, there is something different about that the chest's appearance. It's kept locked at all times, yet now the catch is open. Evidently, this has something to do with your refusal to speak, Iris. But a simple enough matter to incite you to speak, I'm sure. I merely need to open this chest. Here we go. No! Hurley, don't. Oh, and there you go. Oh, that's why he died. Ah, that's what happened. Aye. Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, Hurley. So that's what happened. Hey, yo, hold on. Hold on, wait. No way, they get it. Oh no, there's a competition for a thumbnail. He's dead. Never. Oh, Hurley, I told you not to open it. As you so found out, so you found your voice now, Iris. Ah. In other words, what just happened clearly reveals the truth here. Yes, the revealed reason for your silence until now is... This is somewhat different to the usual dance of deduction you perform with Mr. Sholmes, isn't it? Well, he's left me alone on the ballroom floor, so I'm going to have to dance this next part solo. And anyway, I need to get to the bottom of this for my own peace of mind. Now then, Iris isn't usually the silent type, so you mean you don't actually know the answer yet, despite that knowing point. That knowing point the finger before. Miss Susato. Sometimes a man needs to point his finger first and think it later. Oh Lord, well, if you say so. I think we better examine Iris more closely and try to rescue the situation then. It's a thing. Oh, for some reason, that really is standing out as suspicious. Oh, is it? It's quite sizable enough for a sizable secret, that's what I say. Perhaps it is, but we certainly can't open it look inside without Iris' permission. No, you're right. Who knows what might pop out and punch us? That's not that. That's the key she's holding. Look, I'm sure that wasn't in her hands before, was it? No, you're quite right. It appeared as if by magic. That's strange. A big old iron key. Where did it materialize from?
Take that!
Yes, the real reason for your silence until now is that key behind your back. Ah! When Mr. Silk was thrown into the air before. Just before you called up to try and stop him, you slipped something out of your mouth. That something is a key now in your hand. No doubt, the key to the chest. You're so clever, Runo. So now it becomes clear. Thanks to Mr. Sholmes' graphic demonstration, you can well imagine what happened here. But Professor Miko Toba also opened that metal chest only to be punched into the air and land sprawled on the sofa on the city. But wait, that doesn't explain all the facts. What about that shattered scarf and the cup of tea? And above all, why would he be wearing Cosmo's mask? Well, for those curious details, I can think of only one explanation. Clearly, an unbelievable miracle took place in this room. Isn't that right, Iris? That stuff, all that stuff was on the sofa. Consider how the room was arranged before this whole painful experience took place. When Professor Mikotoba opened the chest, completely unaware what waited him inside, the mask was flung in the air just as he was, only to be landed neatly on his face when it fell back. And the teacup's journey through the air ended up where it caught on the unconscious professor's finger. You mean to say that the stylus scarf is actually just a tablecloth? This is the Great Detective's office, after all, a place of miraculous deduction. Ah, me. Yeah. Would you expect nothing? Oh no, there's a third one. Wait, no, she's blinking. Wait. No, there's too many good ideas for thumbnails this stream. What? Okay, you know what? I'll do. Okay, I know what I'll do. Okay, would you expect anything less? Yes, you're right. I happened exactly as you said. Brilliant, Bruno. That does conclude Ryusuke Naruhodo's great deduction of this punchy puzzle. So then, why don't I make a fresh pot of tea for us all?
Objection!
Uh-oh. And an admirable performance, Mr. Naruhodo. But in the final act of the show there, you rather missed everything of importance. Huh? Mr. Sholmes, you would have cast your mind back to my earlier deduction. Iris, clearly you're hiding a great secret. Uh-oh. Ah, she is, from the look on her face. Mr. Sholmes must be right. Whatever the great secret is, the cat isn't out of the bag yet. So I put it to you again. You were attempting to abscond with that coffee cup. It really is a shame about Mr. Sholmes' cup. It must have been smashed when Professor Mikotoba opened the chest. Oh dear, so many things seem to have been broken here. But now that the detective has taken a different direction, Iris doesn't seem to be trying to hide the broken cup anymore. In other words, her great secret is something else. Let us put our observational skills to work here one final time then. Look. There seems to be more paper there. Is Iris trying to hide them underneath the tray? The insignia, Mr. Naruhodo, is the official Scotland Yard document. What? But why would Iris have... We must ask her. An official Scotland Yard document.
Take that!
You were attempting to abscond with that case file. Iris, as you know very well, nothing escapes the attention of a great detective. Oh no. Yeah, well, we're talking to Dr. Gory. We visited Scotland Yard's autopsy laboratory earlier today. And Dr. Gory informed us. Hello? I'm not gonna say that. Dr. Gory informed us that the autopsy report of Clint Van Zieks had gone missing. Clint Van Zieks. Yes, I do seem to recall that some years ago, I asked to see the report in question. You were with me, weren't you, Iris? You mean it was you, Iris? So those papers you have there are... I'm sorry. Forgive me! No, don't cry! To hide the case file. No, Iris. Ooh. No, sweet baby, don't. Don't. If anything happens to Iris, I'll kill everyone in the room and then myself. In truth, I would like to have the thought I could have predicted it about booby-trapped chests. But it caught me completely off guard. I have a very the late consulting detective Sherlock Holmes. Ugh, I'm sorry, Hurley. So you mean this autopsy report really is? Yes, I took it from the lab, even though I knew it was very important. Was there something in that troubled you, Iris? Is it that her dad? It's the last thing of her dad. Not exactly something that troubled me. Something I'd been looking for. When I saw this report, when I saw the writing in it, I knew it was Daddy's. The writing. Your father's writing. What do you really mean? Iris? It must be something that's hard for her to talk about. Forgive me for interrupting, my dear fellows. Mr. Sholmes, what is it? The fellow, yeah, the unconscious fellow on the table. Oh, I feel as though the poor unconscious gentleman on the settee had been somewhat forgotten. Oh, father. Perhaps we should find our guest somewhere more peaceful to rest. Mr. Naruhodo, yes? Would you be so kind as to lend him your bed? We must do our very best to make him comfortable, I feel. Oh, yes, of course. I'll help you carry him up. So will I. No. I can manage all alone, thank you. You have tea to enjoy. We wouldn't want Iris to brew a stew. Because there's no better way to make the professor comfortable than dragging him upstairs like that trunk. I wonder, perhaps that was deliberate. Maybe Mr. Sholmes was making himself scarce to give Iris a chance to talk more freely. We must use the opportunity to talk with Iris and find out what's going on. What's happening? Your father. Would you like to tell us about it, Iris? About your father? I'm sure I told you before, didn't I? That Daddy used to be Hurley's partner. Yes, and that notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside the metal chest. That's right. Hurley told me, you see? He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet. That's one way of describing it. Then, when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like. Well, that's only natural. You're just like any other girl of your age. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied it and took my degree too. Oh, that's right, so he does have a doctorate. Wait, well, that's only natural, I suppose. And in that respect, you're not quite like any other girl of your age, though. But there was one thing that I could never find out. Daddy's name. Oh, wait. His name wasn't anywhere on any of the notes that he made about his work with Hurley. But one day, that's what happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right? Yes. So what was the handwriting in the report that caught her eye? It was familiar. When I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know that handwriting, I thought to myself, because it was the same as the writing you see on your father's case note. Yeah, exactly. I was just desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, it was told that it was the first and last time we'd be allowed to even look at it there. So you decided to steal it. When I compared the autopsy report with the case notes I had here, there was no doubt. That handwriting was exactly the same. It was Daddy's. And the signature of the coroner at the bottom of this autopsy report read Dr. John H. Wilson. So that's how I finally found out. I learned that Daddy's name at last. I see. Ever since then, I've called myself Iris Wilson. Oh, okay, I see. So that's so before that, you just called Iris. He's like, oh, my name must be Iris Wilson. So we don't actually know if that is her real actual father. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley, and decided there and then that I'd write The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea that the stories had quite such a deep personal significance for you. And I can see why the autopsy report was so important to her then now. And why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. I must apologize, Iris. Hurley, this is really all my fault. Hurley? I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right, I'd keep the details about your father a secret. I know. I've been very naughty. I'll take this autopsy report back to Dr. Gori and apologize, I promise. Yes, we'll go together, I think. Then, let me look after it for you until we get there. Hold on. Before that, let's look at that autopsy report. Clint. Dr. John H. Wilson. Wait, what? Oh, wait. Death from a stab wound, but they said they said the professor used a dog to fight. So then no, this wasn't the professor. This is something else. Oh, could it be that maybe the professor was Clint? I must go and water my herbs, I think. I'll see you all later. Uh-oh. I hope she's okay. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Soames is here for her, but still. Ah! What? How? What's the meaning of this, Mr. Soames? Mr. Soames? Oh, dear me. Wait, what happened? So, you noticed, I see. Yeah, it's the cause of death. We know the professor used a dog, apparently, they said, to rip out the throats, but Clint died from a stab wound. That's not this, but that would mean that Genshin was not, maybe yes, he was responsible for Clint dying, but Genshin was not the professor. What on earth is the matter, Mr. Susato? You've turned as white as a sheet. It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruhodo. The one from 10 years ago. The writing. Oh! Wait, the writing isn't Dr. Wilson's at all. Wait, what? Oh, it's a big lie. Okay, so authored by Dr. Wilson. No, so this wasn't. Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that? Because I know this writing very well. Oh no, it's your father's writing. It's my father's writing. This is written in writing. It's my father's. What? What? Professor Miko Toba's. So wait. Indeed, it's true. Wait. Does that mean things is Aris's Susato's sister? But that doesn't make any sense. And now you know, my dear fellows. No, I don't know anything. What on earth does it all mean, Mr. Soames? Because the idea that's solely forming in my mind is just too extraordinary to believe. Please, you have to explain. Yeah, wait, So, this autopsy report was actually penned by Professor Miko Toba then. But that makes no sense. It's not possible, surely. Not possible, my dear fellow. Pray, take a deep breath and think again. Yes, you're right. In some ways, it actually makes a great deal of sense because he was his assistant. So of course, so maybe he didn't personally write it. It does. 10 years ago is when father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain. And prior to his return, where was Dr. Mikotoba engaged? Ah, of course, he was an assistant in Dr. Wilson's laboratory learning about forensic science. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes, which would be assembled into the full autopsy report. Once the work was complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put his signature on the document. But wait, in other words, the only writing that Dr. Wilson's in the report would have been his signature at the end. I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? He saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John H. Wilson. But wait, which is very understandable, of course, but what a complicated situation. But she said the writing was the same. Who was your partner? Just thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits. Yes, the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, written by Iris. And we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So what about this supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see. And please come straight to the answer. I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade and the only person I could truly have called a friend. And did this partner of yours truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest? Absolutely, my dear madam. Absolutely. So, where is your partner now? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. It's Mikotoba. Yeah, it's Mikotoba. Is actually what. Wait, does that? Yeah, does that mean? Wait. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. His father. That's why the dad knows. But if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases were penned by the same hand, and if the autopsy report was written, though not signed, by your famous partner, there would be only one logical conclusion. Ray, impressed me. Your partner would have to be Yujin Mikotoba. In other words, Miss Susato's father. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. You mean to say... Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Professor Mikotoba? So that's why we knew about the stories. I thought Wilson had told him. Dr. Wilson has told him. No, it was his. So wait, so it was his. That's why. So the first-hand account. Dad, does this mean that you're the real Dr. Wilson? No, my dear. I'm still my old self, Yujin Mikotoba, your father. Oh, of course. This is obviously too much for Susato-san to take in. I must say, though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver is the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. Ah, pray remind me. When was it again, Mikotoba? 16 years ago, Miss Sholmes. Ah, yes, quite. 16 years ago. I just arrived from Japan with Seishiro and Genshin. I was in search of lodgings close to the hospital, those comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. The rents are definitely high in that particular area. That's right. So I decided I needed someone to share the lodging and the expense, and was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sholmes, who found himself in a similar situation. I was a callow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detective you see before you now. I was working at the hospital's chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for little gain. Oh, so he's a medical student too, or a chemist. and the situation of our cohabitation led us to pursuing cases together, you see? Hard to believe. It was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. In the last year Mikotoba's stay in Britain, that most infamous case presented itself. I was saying that they were around the same age. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure they are around. He's, well, no, actually, no, he's not. I think he's 43 and thing's only 34. Yeah, no, he's like 10 years older. So 16 years ago. 24 and 6. So when he was, wait, what? When he was 17. Wait, no, not 17. When he was 18, because 16 years ago. Yeah, I think that's right, because yeah, yes. So when he was 18, that's when they met. And when he was must have been 24. Yeah, he must have been 24 or 23. The case with which you become rather familiar yourselves, the professor killings. After the trial, Seishiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising given the cursed circumstances. So there you have it. As you know, all the details recorded by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. That is just amazing. Professor Mikotoba really is Mr. Soames' famous partner. But then one question. Hold on. Yeah, but then father. Goodness, my dear, what a cutting look. As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you were the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I really must ask you to explain now. And that is, who's that girl's father? You know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris's father. Ah, of course. I'd almost forgotten about that one. Yeah, who is her father? I should have seen this coming, I suppose. Yeah, who is it? Yeah, who, if the thing is... Iris told us that all the notes about the great detective's adventures that are in that metal chest were written by her father. Isn't that correct, Mr. Soames? That is indeed what I told young Iris. Oh, no, yeah, that's what he told her, but that's not what the truth is. Ah, but if you were Mr. Soames' partner, father, and you wrote all those case notes, then Iris' father must be you. Why? It's like, upon my word, Mr. Susato, you are coming along wonderfully as well. You too haven't hit upon the method at last. Wait, you finally grasped the art of deduction. Wait, what? No, that's not true. No, he's not. What you always told me, father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago. And you left me in grandmother's care while you embarked on your study of Torah Britain. And I've always accepted that. But all this about Iris. Oh, there it is. Susato-san's ice cold stare. No, hold on a minute. It was very complicated. I mean, it's really not what you think. Then perhaps you'd like to explain exactly what it is. There it is. That was the ice goes from ice cold to red hot. Just before Susato takedown. No, really, you got the wrong end of the stick. Soames, say something, man. Woo! Yeah, I was just teasing. That's quite enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Soames, when did he get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt the exciting exploration of the past, Mikotoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion. But it's very late, Mr. Soames. Where must you go? Why, my dear madam, is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So, get your coat, Mikotoba. The game is afoot. But Soames, I really must give Susato a full explanation, I think. Later, my dear fellow, later. There's already. Oh boy. You haven't changed one iota, have you? I mean, really, I visited our home after 10 long years, and when I opened that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. And as if that wasn't enough, when I eventually regain consciousness, I plunged straight into all of this. Father, please go with Mr. Sholmes now. What? I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interest. I trust you completely. Susato. And sending the great detective and his great partner off on renewed adventures together is more than I could hope for in my wildest dreams. Very well then, we'll speak again later. So, I believe your own work is done for the day. I wish you the best of luck tomorrow. Yes, Naruhodo. Good luck in battle and in reaching the decision. Oh, a decision about whether to go back to Japan, I suppose.
So much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself.
What? This investigation took a turn, so many out-of-pocket turns, left and right, or unexpected turns.
It would only be later that I'd come to realize how amidst the chaos I'd unleashed were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth, and that all the turmoil was necessary to give me the resolve to see everything through.
Oh. So basically, they just said we have all the facts. We get to, oh, that's end. Wait, what? Oh, wait, what? Oh, we ending on an investigation. Oh, okay, so no, this is the last case technically. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. I thought it would be we finished the trial, but no, it looks like we're going. The last case will be about what's his face? Oh my goodness. Oh, final, the resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo trial, part 1. Okay. Huh. So I guess the next, maybe the next stream or two, that's gonna be it. The last one. We'll get to the bottom of everything. Huh. That was interesting. But yeah, I think that's a good stopping point for now. So I think I'm gonna call it here. But actually, hold on. Before I do, let me say what I want to know. So I don't think Professor Dr. Mikotoba is Iris's father. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's the case. If it is, if it is, I would be flabbergasted if that turns out to be the case. The Warner director is in on it. Everyone, he's one of the people that helped the escape. We still need to know who shot Genshin when he got out of the grave, because that's still a mystery. I think it was Lord Strongheart still. Him, the Dr. Mikotoba being the Wilson in the story, but I guess why did Holmes say John H. Wilson? His name was John H. Wilson. The passport that Gregson was going to a different country, and he was supposed to leave the day before he died, which means who is Iris's father? Who was Iris's father, and why did Sholmes tell her that it was Dr. Wilson, who he didn't know at all? But yeah, I guess we'll find out in the next stream, I guess, or some point in the next 2 streams. But yeah, but before I go, as always, if you like what you saw, please consider leaving a like. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, or X/X, the everything app, Blue Sky for stream updates, bad tweets, and everything in between. And hopefully, I will see you in the next stream. See ya later. Bye.